Hello and welcome to another weapon review, and today, as you can see, we're talking about the Loquitor 4. I'm about 100% sure that's a 4. Anyways, it doesn't matter. So we're talking about this auto rifle, because that's what it is. The quote says this rifle speaks for itself, and basically, yeah, it kind of does. I don't know what Loquitor means, so if I knew what that meant, maybe I would know what the rifle is trying to tell itself, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so it is a Hake auto rifle that we know of. It's also from New Monarchy. I got this a long time ago in a different faction rally, so I wasn't, I usually go with Future War Cult, but I went with New Monarchy this time. Thankfully, we won in that one because New Monarchy wins every single time, so that's what I had to do with them. So let's talk about this weapon in general. So we know that it is a auto rifle, New Monarchy, whatever. That's the basic stuff. But let's get deep into the weapon. So it is a slower firing auto rifle because it is a Hake type build, so it's going to be a slower weapon in general. So 360 rounds per minute, and then 32 rounds in the magazine. So it's fast, but it's slow. It's a lot slower than some of the other auto rifles that you see. It's slower than probably a bunch of the main ones. So talk about like Uriel's Gift, Scathe. It's slower than all of those. So that's what you have to look into. But the impact is much better than those of all these other crazy assault rifles that are really good, the Uriel's Gift. So it does have a lot of impact. So when I was using this weapon, body shots were doing, I think around, I want to say around like 17, maybe 20. But this gun also has a different perk. This perk is called High Impact Reserves, and the rounds at the end of the magazine deal more damage. So once I got below 16 bullets, it was higher damage. So I think it was ticking for, I want to say it was like 25 a headshot, but it might have been more. I don't remember. I was using this gun a lot, but I haven't used it since yesterday, so probably should have hopped on and tried it again. But it was doing a lot of damage quite quickly if you were hitting headshots. And so that was kind of prevalent when I was playing. It was, if I was hitting headshots, you were dying literally quite quickly. And the range on this thing is very high. If you saw at the very beginning of the video, the range is almost full barred out for this auto rifle. So not only are you getting nice impact, you're also getting a very good amount of range on auto rifles that usually don't have this amount of range, this amount of damage fall off that you're going to be able to see within the Crucible. So this is really kind of a nice feature for the gun, especially with the high impact reserves. It does put out a lot of damage quite far away, as we're talking about. And then up close, it's not really, I wouldn't say it's really the best up close, as you would see that it shoots a little bit slower. So if anyone's coming at you with a submachine gun or just any firing, like any faster firing weapon, they're going to go ahead and murder you in the process. But you can definitely stand a chance. I mean, if you hit headshots, you probably might be able to kill them before they kill you. Just depends on the player that you're facing. So now let's head into stability and handling. So stability and handling. Using this weapon is a bit of a chore, I would say. It does have a very memorable bounce, and by memorable I mean it's very much there, and so it is a tad bit hard to control. I see that's a good way for their balancing strategies here because of the fact that it does a lot of damage at a very good range. The stability and handling are a little bit low. Stability more so than handling. Handling is moving the gun around with you and aiming down and stuff like that, but stability is, as you're shooting, where's your gun going and how hard is it to hold down at a straight line. Stability is much worse, but it is not a deal breaker. I wouldn't say it's a deal breaker. It does do damage. You just have to get used to it, honestly. Basically with any weapon in Destiny 2, you just have to get used to the weapon before you go out and start dropping 40, 50 bombs in Crucible. And I don't know, do people do that? Do people do that in Destiny 2? Is that just a Destiny 1 thing? I don't know. I definitely don't, because I'm not that good. But you see these other weapons, right? And, you use them right off the bat, and they're a little bit shaky because you're really not used to the weapon. But once you get used to the weapon, it does quite well and basically works in your favor however you want to play the game. So it does work It's just, it might take a little bit getting used to if you want to use this weapon. I do like this weapon a lot. I like Hake auto rifles the most, mainly because they do have that slow rate of fire, so they're a little bit more of a kind of faster shooting scout rifle that's automatic. That's basically how I can describe it. But I do like the Hakes just because they look nice. They look better. They look a little bit more unique than a lot of the other weapons, because I've seen a lot of the other weapons quite a lot during Destiny 1 and then Destiny 2. They kind of have the same feeling. Hake auto rifles and just Hake weapons in general, we didn't see a lot until the end of season, or year 3, you know. Year 2, I don't know if they were in year 2 or not. But anyways, year 3, I know they were definitely in there, but I didn't play a lot of year 3, so I didn't really enjoy the Hake auto rifles, but I do enjoy them in this game. Moving on to reload speed. Reload speed is good. It's not bad, it's not great, it's good. It works, it does the same amount of speed that you necessarily would want it to do. Alright, so for perks, we're going to have a couple sights. So we have an iron sight, we have a red dot sight, and then we have a scope of the variants. And I would say the iron sight, as you saw earlier in the video, if you saw, I used the iron sight mainly because the other two increase range, but they hurt handling, and that is something that is absolutely needed for this weapon. You're going to want as much handling as possible in this situation, so I would go ahead and go with that, just saying. But I would say it's a little bit better to go with the iron sight, just mainly because of the fact that it hurts stability if you're not using it. And then I also have on ricochet rounds, although I really don't care for ricochet rounds just because of the absolutely precise angles that you have to hit on walls to even hit people with the ricochet. I can say this though. There was one time I was shooting around a corner, I was kind of pre-firing it, and this guy came out, I shot him a lot, and he went back around the corner, and then I kept shooting because I was like, I am persistent, and I really hope that he peeks this again, and he's probably not, but I'm just going to do it anyways. He peeked it, or he didn't peek it actually, he was still behind the wall, and all of a sudden I got a kill because of the ricochet rounds. You know, it works, I guess. I mean, it doesn't, I mean, that basically proves that it works, but I still don't think it's useful and practical, really, because you don't really have any, like, when are you going to use this? Like me, that was a complete freak accident that I got a kill via the ricochet rounds, but when are you going to actually use this? Like, maybe hard light if you're just trying to, like, angle somebody, but even then, you're, like, shooting at a wall, like, to the left of you, and this person's going to pop out and dome you in the brain with a scout rifle. It's just, it's not practical to me. It really isn't. But then, it also has appended mag, and then it has a different mag. Quick switch, I don't know what the magazine is. Truck outside, could you please calm down? But those magazines really just, they hurt stability and handling yet again. And then, but they kind of decrease range as well, but they really don't provide anything useful as ricochet rounds does. Ricochet rounds basically is the best out of the 3 options that you could possibly pick. The other 2 just, they're not really worth it. They really aren't. Then we move on to the last one that I talked about earlier, the high impact reserves. Those actually kind of surprised me a little bit. They actually did a lot more damage than the actual weapon did with the front side. So if you're shooting one person and you're able to get the kill off and another person comes around the corner, you have quite a bit of good health, like a good amount of health. Like you didn't end up almost losing the gunfight. You have a lot of health. You're not one shot. You can probably end that second gunfight as well if someone comes around the corner immediately. Mainly because without the reload, you have enough ammo to take out 2 people. You actually have enough ammo to take out 3 people. But when you're fighting these, you can actually melt the second person and the third person and so on because of the fact of these high impact reserves. I did use them quite a lot, although I do reload a lot after I kill a person. When I was in bigger gunfights and I did not reload, I was doing a lot of damage to a lot of people. So I would say this perk especially kind of rounded out the weapon. It made it a lot better in terms of actually putting out damage and getting kills. Without this and maybe just some other random perk, it would probably be a lot less in the perk range that I'm going to give it, the rating that I'm going to give it. So let's talk about rating. Rating for perks, because we talked about it, I am going to give perks a 7, basically because high impact reserves does pull out the impossible really for it. It just makes the gun that much better. It brings it up to the tier of the 7. Otherwise, it'd probably be in the 5 range for me. That is for sure. Long range, we're going to give it a 7. It's not great, but it is pretty good. It does put out a lot of damage at a very long range, and the range bar says basically itself. It is quite a good range weapon if you're trying to shoot from that far away. Not going to beat out scout rifles. That's the disclaimer. It's not going to beat out scout rifles. Please do not attempt to fight scout rifles with this because you will die every single time, as did I. Short range, 7. It's not great. It's not a 8, 9, 10, but it is good. It's not bad. It's just not fast enough really for the short range encounters. It does put out a lot of damage, so it is easy to kill people up close, but it is not in those one-on-one fights, say with an anti-OD, a submachine gun, auto rifle, like a faster shooting auto rifle, or even a pulse rifle up close if it's a fast shooting pulse rifle. Vigilance wing was actually giving me a lot of trouble when I was fighting people. A lot of people had the vigilance wing out and they were kind of doming me from long range and short range, so it's good, it's just not that next level tier that you would want. So it gets a 7. Effectiveness, that is where our math comes into things. So I had 263 kills, and then I had 141 deaths, 263 kills and assists. I need to say assists and assists because otherwise it's really hard to track kills in the game because the game only tracks kills and assists, so it's just easier to use that number. But 263 kills and assists, and then deaths, we had 141. We add those up, we get 404 total engagements. So, like I said before, if you haven't seen any of these videos, or if you have seen these videos, our regular average before the Go Fast update was around 330, 350 average total gunfights that we were kind of getting in with every single weapon. But now, as of late, these last 3 weapons that I've used, I've almost gotten up to 400 every single time. So I'm really thinking the average is probably going to move up to around 370 to 400. It's going to be kind of in that range now, just because things are going faster. There's more kills to distribute. The time is longer, you know, all that jazz. So 404 total engagements out of those kills and assists and deaths. So let's use our equation that can pop up now. 263 we're going to put in for K, and then we're going to divide that by 404, which is for T. Then we're going to multiply that by 100, and we're going to get the number of 6.5. That is going to be our effectiveness rating. Now for overall rating, we're just going to take all of our numbers we have, add them up, and then divide by 4. And that number is going to come out to be a 6.9. So now we have all our numbers. We can just add all those babies up. And then for the final total, we have a 34.4 as the total for this weapon. So a pretty good score for this weapon. I do like it. It's just, you know, my preference is I do enjoy this a lot. I would actually put this up with higher weapons because I really enjoy using this weapon, but because we have no bias here, at Absolute Quality Incorporated, we have to give it a fair score. So 34.4. Now let's go ahead into the ranking process. If you don't know the ranking process, we take the total score that I just got, so the 34.4, and we rank it against the auto rifles, because it's an auto rifle. If it was a submachine gun, we rank it against the submachine guns. But then, once we do that, we're going to rank it against all of the weapons in Destiny 2, all of the ones that I have done, and that to date is 48, including this weapon. So for auto rifles, it is going to take the 6th spot in auto rifles, mainly due to the fact that Muriel's Gift and Scathed Lock and Guiding Star and Origin Story and Galliard 42 exist. Yeah, it's definitely 6th. I did another count because I thought I only counted 4, but it doesn't matter. It is 6th in that spot. It does have a lot of competitors that are a lot better in terms of perk-wise and just ability for how I was able to use them around the map. Then we're going to take it all of Destiny 2 now. Destiny 2 has given it a little bit of a challenge because I have a score of a 34.4. You can understand that it is going to be a little bit lower on the ranking, and it is going to come in at the 21st spot overall. I kind of saw that coming, mainly just because the weapon is not, you know, that god tier that you really want. It does do damage. It's just not that god tier. It's not that extra oomph that you really need to push against other enemies quite well and effectively and always win gunfights, right? So that is going to do it for the Loquitor 4. Guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys are enjoying the entire series as a whole. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.